Welcome to the Blitz with Rob and Chris. Rob, what it do out there?
Listen, I'm gonna start you off with a Mark Twain quote. Rumors of my demise have been greatly exaggerated. Your boy went, stood 10 toes down with the Rona. Standing here, I worked out today, man. Listen, I don't want to hear nothing about no bubble, none of that. These players can play. If I could have the little Rona for a couple of days, I lost taste and smell for a couple of days, but other than that, I'm good. Somebody was messing with me the other day. They told me I'm a statistic, bro. It was 30% positive in South Florida, and I'm in that number.
And for anybody who didn't know why Florida blowing up, look, Rob is example number one. Downplaying it already. Otherwise, how you making out? How's your weekend?
It was cool. I can't go anywhere. So,
right.
I watched the little UFC fights last night.
I checked them out too.
Yeah, Masvidal is a Miami guy, so everybody in Miami is big on him. But it was a boring fight to me. They had some other good fights in there, but that one wasn't as entertaining. That cat he fought though is a beast.
Right. I watched all the prelims, all the main event. Like the card was exciting until the final. Usman was super boring to watch. I mean, it was like watching paint dry.
Yeah, he's a wrestler, by trade. So
right. Yeah. So it just wasn't a good match in terms of like excitement. So but he a beast though for sure. But yeah, I watched the fights, drank some beverages by my boy Walt Robinson with Hitch. He got some Long Island iced tea. I'm feeling good. I got some right now at the table. He's selling that Long Island. He's selling rum punch, Cadillac margaritas, everything. Check him out. Hitch Beverages.
Hopefully mine's in the mail.
It's in the mail, bro. You should have it. You should have it next week for the pod. Hitch Bevs NOLA. Catch him on Instagram and Facebook. You can order online, give him a call, DM him. So holla. But look, we've been talking about this pod all week. We kind of teased it last week. I want to welcome a friend of mine. He is New Orleans native, St. Augustine High School alum, first team All SEC running back at Ole Miss, and former NFL running back for the New England Patriots and Cincinnati Bengals. He has what I think, I might be a little biased, but what I think is the best sports nickname out there, aka the law firm. Welcome, Benjarvus Green Ellis. Benny, what it do?
How you doing, man? How y'all doing? Nice to be here, bro.
Good, man. Appreciate you coming on.
Appreciate it.
No problem.
How you doing, man? How your fam doing during COVID? Everybody good?
Everybody doing good. I haven't had any family members, contract the virus thus far, so I haven't had to, excommunicate nobody. So it's been good.
Good, bro. That's good to hear. Good, y'all. You're not like Rob out there, so that's what's up. But look, man, we gonna jump right into it, bro. Like I mentioned, you from New Orleans, grew up down here. Now, you live elsewhere now, but just tell us a little bit about growing up in New Orleans. What sports did you play outside of football, of course, and then playing at St. Aug, which is a well-known nationally for putting out a lot of guys in the pros in sports, specifically football. Yourself, Tyrann Mathieu. I'm drawing a blank all of a sudden, but Leonard Fournette. Yeah, I mean, just a bunch of dudes, and like not just players, but stars. Tyrann Mathieu just won a Super Bowl. So tell us a little bit about that.
I mean, growing up, I played a little bit of everything, basketball, track, baseball. I didn't even know what soccer was until like I was maybe like 17 years old when I went to Indiana University, and they was known for soccer. I was like, soccer, they got another football field over here I never knew about. And, so that was kind of weird, but, that's how it was. We didn't have soccer at St. Aug, and we didn't have soccer at Gerety Park where I played ball, so I never knew of soccer.
Gotcha.
I'm a former Gerety Saint too.
Yeah, man,
Joe Brown, baby.
Man, we used to blow y'all ass out, man. Gerety Saint, we used to walk Joe Brown.
Yeah.
Y'all had the ugliest uniforms too. We had that black and gold. Y'all wore that light blue and red.
Blue and red.
That was I don't even know where y'all even found them type of colors.
Bottom of the barrel, man. Look, that's that on them Nord dollars.
Y'all even got worse when Kerry Curley came out.
right. The East was diluted, bro.
Yeah, it was.
But like, okay, so did you play any other sports at St. Aug besides football?
Yeah, I ran track.
Okay. And going to St. Aug, like I mentioned, director. How was that experience, playing ball over there?
Playing ball at St. Aug?
Yeah.
I mean, St. Aug, it was cool. It was a different experience. Obviously, I couldn't play my freshman year because I stayed out of the district. And sophomore year, we had a lot of running backs in front of me. Junior year was junior year. It wasn't really nothing to even talk about. And senior year, it went by kind of fast. So
Okay.
it was just an experience. It was a learning experience. For most importantly, I think for me, it was just about just learning discipline and learning when to be patient and all of that type of stuff. So obviously, when it came time for me to go to college, I wasn't into that business no more. I didn't want to wait, so that's kind of how I ended up in Indiana University, because it was like, man, I've been waiting and sitting around and feel like I just, like you said, watching paint dry. It was just
Right.
I didn't want to do that no more. So
what kind of numbers did you put up your senior year of high school, and were you like, on any recruiting services radars and stuff like that?
Man, I think Rivals and all that was just not starting to come. That was 2003, so like Rivals and I didn't even know what none of, like I said, man, I didn't know about soccer. So when they had Rivals, I didn't even know what 1,000-yard rusher was until I think I had like 985 yards my freshman year in college, and the guy was like, "Yeah, man, you about to be 1,000-yard rusher." I never forget the guy. His name his name was Josh Moore. He was from Connecticut,
Okay.
And he was telling me, like, man, you this and that and this. I'm like, man, what are you talking about? And he was like, I'm like, yeah, he like, man, you about to have 1,000. You don't know what that. I said, man, listen, just hand the ball off. I don't get into all of this. And so I never did, bro. So it was something I never really paid attention to. I always just loved just to go out there and just, I just like to dominate, man. Tell you the truth. And what the number said at the end of the game is whatever they say. Right. But most of the time, it's good, But I never really got into any of that stuff. But I know for, like senior, all district and all this stuff. And,
right.
I know afterwards I look back at it, I had 1,000-some yards and so many touchdowns. But I never cared, long as I won and long as, we went out there and we did what we supposed to do, everything else was good for me.
Gotcha. Now, so me and Rob follow, high school, college football recruiting like hard. We hardcore fans. So, I don't know, do you have any great like high school recruiting stories that you went to Indiana University, head coach was Jerry DiNardo, who was the former LSU coach. Were there other campuses you went visit, other schools that piqued your interest, or any kind of like cool stories that stick out when you go?
Man, listen, Chris over there being modest. He want to know if you got he got game story. He want to know if somebody Ray Allen'd you. That's what he getting at.
I mean, I think that's pretty much the how the recruiting trip goes. You know what I'm saying? To say the least. That's kind of how it is. So they try and get you to come somewhere. So I went to Indiana. They had hot tubs in the snow. In the middle of the snow and all that type of stuff. I'd never had seen snow before, so that was new for me as well. And I went to Tulsa. It was crazy. I went to Oklahoma. It was just as obviously Tulsa is in Oklahoma, but I went to Oklahoma. Right. All of these places had their own different thing. So different. I'm not really a big party person, so they really didn't have to do all that for me. But obviously, on the recruiting trips, that's what you do.
Right.
So
right.
You just have to follow suit and just go do what you gotta go do. And I was more aligned on, I wanted to know, was he gonna give me the ball? Was I about to play? All this recruiting and all that. I really, that really didn't bother me. I didn't care what we could have been playing in Alaska. I'd have been straight.
You just wanted the ball out.
Right.
I just wanted to play. It really mattered.
So how did Jerry DiNardo ultimately sell you on Indiana? You said the carries and stuff, but was there anything about his offensive, place calling and style that made you choose them?
Man, funny story. You know what I'm saying? They was telling me when I was at this point in time, I think his name not Robert Griffin. I can't remember the guy's name. Oklahoma was sending me all of this stuff, right? But at that point in time, there was a Big 12 team, but they were more like spread, like the spread how we have now. And I'm like, man, I don't think I want to do that. I don't know what y'all got going on. Throwing the ball all over the place. So I really wasn't into that. And it was like they was recruiting and telling me, well, we want to go down more to a power running scheme. I'm like, man, this is a typical recruiting lie right here. And then I'm serious. Like, and so I said, but then I went to Indiana, and then, the coach Nardo was explaining to me what they wanted to do and what they had been doing, and it looked like a good fit. They run the power game out, running back in the eye, all of that type of stuff. So they had Al Borges, who was wound up being an offensive coordinator at Alabama
Yep.
and other places as well. So it was like seemed like it was going to be a pretty good fit because not only was he, in a good running game, they still had a passing game as well with the West Coast stuff. And I felt like I did my research on him, and he was one of the best ones at the time. So it was like, okay, this could work. And it's like, well, they got a lot of conferences. So it's like I'm looking at him like Big Ten, SEC. I didn't know any of that stuff, at that point in time. So like I remember Alabama, that was on recruiting at the time. I mean, it was on type of probation.
Okay.
And every week they used to come, and my high school coach said, "Yeah, Alabama want us. They want us to drive out." I said, "Man, where that's at?" He said, "It's like 4 hours away." I'm like, "Man, we ain't going way out there." You know what I'm saying? For no, we go watch nobody play. I'm like, we just had a game on Friday, and he wants us to go somewhere else on Saturday. Like, nah, I'm all right. And he was like, if you go to the Alabama game, it's gonna be one of the best experiences in your life. You're not gonna ever forget. I'm like, Coach, don't worry about it. Like, you know what I'm saying? We could play ball anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I never went. Every time they would invite me to go to a game, I never went because most of the time also I went to St. Aug, we played games on Saturdays,
Right.
so that kind of ruined it. So I only got a few Fridays, a few weekends to myself the whole year, the whole football season. So like I don't want to waste one or two of them going to nobody else's school and watching them play. Like,
and Nick Saban didn't get there till 2007. So they weren't back in, that would have been like 2003. They wouldn't have been what they are now.
Nah, Saban was there. He recruited me. He can't actually.
Oh,
Man,
really? Okay.
Yeah, Coach Saban actually, man. They had Coach Saban was doing public speaking at the time, so it was like we had school one day, and next thing I knew, we was all in the gymnasium. He was giving a speech, at the school, so he was already there. We got out of school, and after that, I was talking to him in the office, So it was like the school was canceled. So it seemed like he came to give a speech, and then after the speech, we spoke and everything in the office right downstairs, and I guess that was how they did it back then, So it was like, at that point in time, it was me, Allie Broussard, Justin Vincent.
Mm-hmm.
All of us was already running track against each other, so I knew that's not what I wanted to do. And what is his name? The guy from he was from Evangel, I want to say Evangel Christian. I can't. Jacob Hester, or whatever. So it was like all four of us was coming out the same year. I'm like, man, y'all don't have enough basketballs to pass around.
Right.
So
you talking about Saban at LSU at this point?
Right. Yeah. So it would have been me, Allie, Justin, and Jacob. So
and all three of them went to LSU.
Already. Exactly. So I'm like, man, y'all got it. Because like at that point, it's like, man, we was always top backs in the state at the time. Allie committed first, and then Justin is just like, well, y'all don't really got no more footballs for everybody, so y'all have it, y'all got it. So that was the kind of the end of LSU. That recruiting trail kind of was ended right there, and then it's like, well, you go to Ole Miss, you got Alabama, you got Auburn, all these places like right here, and then I'm looking at it. Well, I go, they all at that point in time is SEC, so 9 times out of 10 you're going there, you're going to sit out the first 2 years anyway.
Right.
I'm like, I don't need to be sitting out no more. I kind of miss all of football, man. 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. I really wasn't I was playing, but it was just like, wasn't that much playing to be doing. So it was like, when I went to Indiana, an opportunity to go and play right away. We still in the big conference with the Big Ten, so we playing on TV. So it was checking off a lot of boxes. So at that point, it was like, well, it wasn't that hard to sell me because I was ready to play already, So I was like, man, look, I'm ready to go up here and play. We're gonna be on the TV. It's Big Ten. I didn't even know what Big Ten was, but I like, man, it's big conference. I looked it up. I went to looking it up, and I knew I didn't want to go to Notre Dame because my mom sent me. She took me to the College Hall of Fame in South Bend when I was, I don't know, 13, 14, 15 years old, and I went to South Bend, and that canceled Indiana Notre Dame for me too. So I was like, man, Mom, I don't think this is gonna work. But she liked Notre Dame, I guess, and I had them in watching Rudy. So,
right.
it's not
So-
gonna work though, man.
So you played those 2 years at Indiana. Tell us a little bit about, you were putting up numbers freshman year right away, so you got what you wanted. So tell us a little bit about that experience and then what led you to want to transfer.
Donato got fired. Honestly, at that point in time, I was 18, 19 years old, and Donato gets fired. The school kind of just hired another coach, and me not really knowing much about how college football worked, I'm like, man, well, that seems unfair. I ain't really come
Right.
here for nobody at Indiana. I kind
Right.
of came here because of Donato and the program or the coaches that I knew. So I really wasn't really even communicating with none of these other people. So it was just like I felt that it was unfair that y'all could just go out and hire a coach and nobody asked me nothing about it. That's
Right.
how I
And
felt.
you were the star player at that point,
It wasn't even about being a star player. It was just about like just being a kid
Right.
from somewhere else. And
Right.
I'm committing to a staff. I'm not really committing
Right.
to, and they say you commit to a school, but that's not really the case. The
Right.
school really is made up of kind of the staff and who you're gonna be around. Like, when you're playing college football, man, you waking up at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning and you with these people all throughout the day for the whole year. It's not really a break. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I don't really want to be around coaches that didn't recruit me here, and they have ulterior motives. So that wasn't my thing. So it's like, man, I felt that it was just best for me to do the same thing they was doing. Like at this point in time, it started teaching me business. So like, I tell you what, y'all just making moves on y'all own, doing what y'all want to do. Nobody didn't ask me nothing. Nobody asked me how I felt. Nobody asked me if I wanted to make it. So I put in my request to transfer. They hired Terry Hepner, rest in peace, and I just couldn't do it because I was just like, man, he didn't recruit me. He didn't recruit me when he was at Miami of Ohio. So I don't know how that's going to work out. He tried to convince me of it, that it would, he never had a guy who didn't have 1,000 yards. Like I told you, I wasn't really into numbers. So that really didn't matter to me and everything. He was coming back with this system with the kind of the spread or whatever. And, he had Ben Roethlisberger and things like that. So I'm like, man, he's throwing the ball all over the yard, man. This guy just got drafted in the first round. And then I promise you, I'm looking on the TV and I see this guy number 28 running with Oklahoma. And I'm like, man, it's Adrian Peterson. I'm like, man, people was not lying to me. So I was like, so at that time, I was just kind of floored, bro. I was like, man, I'll be dog, bro. They was telling the truth. I'm talking about he running. You see, if you remember his freshman year at Oklahoma, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, I think he had like 1,500 yards.
Something ridiculous.
1,800 yards.
Yeah, that's what I said.
That's crazy.
So it was just like, it was crazy. I was just like, I wouldn't say I'm Adrian Peterson, but I'm just looking at it like, man, look at this. You know what I'm saying? Just look at this. It was just like shocking, bro. And it was just like, so I'm just the whole situation just like, man. So like, man, you gotta open yourself back up, and you can't just close and just listen to what these people talking about at the school.
So did you have to sit out a year?
Definitely.
Right.
Man, I was on probation and everything.
Gotcha.
When I left, I honestly was still at the University of Indiana technically, because they started school before Martin Luther King. So we was going to school we started school like January 4th. Most schools start school after Dr. Martin Luther King birthday. So we started school on the 4th, and then we got Dr. King off for a couple of days or whatever. I started taking my visits at that point, but I was already enrolled in the spring semester. And I went to Ole Miss, and I was scheduled to go to Auburn. I was scheduled to go to LSU. I went down to Ole Miss one weekend, and I just never went back. Dead serious, man. I never went.
You just moved in. You just found a spot to kick it and just moved.
I never went back. I still had. I had an apartment, clothes, everything was still in the house. Never went back. I paid my rent, and I just never went back. After the school year was over, I went back and moved all my stuff, but I never went back for school, never, I was still enrolled. I had to drop off classes and everything. I just enrolled at Ole Miss, and, the rest was history.
Who was the coach, and what did he do to you that weekend that kept you from ever going back?
Man, Coach Ogeron was the coach there, and I guess he do like he do now. He built up a fence, and he's obviously in my mind, probably one of the best recruiters. Like, they were preparing. USC was preparing for the national championship, and Coach O was on the recruiting trail at Ole Miss and preparing for the national championship at the same time. So he never sleeps, you know. So that was like one of the things that I like too, because I'm a workaholic. So, you know, as somebody that can match your intensity on whatever it is we're doing, you know, whether it be schoolwork or, you know, on the practice field, football, you know, I like that type of stuff. So whatever we're doing, it don't really matter to me. Like I said, I just like to be out there. You know, I always been a kid. Like when I wake up, 8:15, 8 o'clock, 8:30, I'm gone. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Right.
outside to the street lights come on. It's normally about 8 o'clock. So I'm a 12-hour a day running play since I was 6, 7 years old already anyway. So it didn't really matter to me how much we practice.
So Ed Orgeron, championship winning coach at LSU this year, that was his first stint as a head coach at Ole Miss when you arrived. How was it
Yeah.
playing for him then? And did you know, he didn't have a lot of success at Ole Miss. So did you ever envision him being a coach he is today from your experience?
The crazy part about it is I always knew he was going. He was already a good coach, you know. Sometimes being a good coach is not always seen in wins and losses. I know how crazy that seems, but we always in a results type business.
Right.
But you can see that, if you look at all the guys that were at Ole Miss when I was at Ole Miss, just myself, Mike Wallace, Patrick Willis, Michael Orr, Dexter McCluster. I can go down the line. We had at least 12, 15 guys that were balling out in the NFL and balling out on Sunday. We had all SEC players. You know, we had everything. You know, we never lost a game, SEC game, by more than 2 or 3 points. So it was always, you know, we going to overtime with Alabama. We double overtime at Alabama every year. LSU, the same thing. So it was always one of those things where it was like, it was just, we were right on the cusp, and it just never, you know, the ball never just rolled our way, or we never took advantage of what we needed to, or we didn't have the depth, you know what I'm saying? So we can play 60 minutes, we go to overtime, and, you know, guys might not make that play or whatever the case may be. So I never envisioned him as being a bad coach. You know, like I said, people weren't used to his intensity at the time.
Right.
And I'm talking about, you know, trainers, just the people in Mississippi's in general, you know what I'm saying? They're not used to a guy from Southern Louisiana, the way he talked. They really couldn't understand him. You know, it was a lot of things that went into it that, you know, kind of made the situation, you know, probably more hectic than it could be. And, you know, like I said, was he a little bit harder than everybody? Yeah, but to me, you know, I was already used to that because I had been at St. Aug, and I have used to coaches talking all kind of craziness and the discipline. So I really wasn't, you know, as long as you did your job and you went to school, work, and ain't missed classes and came to practice and work hard, life was a breeze. But, you know, obviously when you didn't, you know, life wasn't. So I was used to that, and I always envisioned him as being a good coach. I always thought he was.
Gotcha. That's what's up. Yeah, definitely. I read this book called Meat Market. It was about his stint at Ole Miss, and they told
Bruce, right?
Yeah, with Bruce Feldman, and they told a story of his, I think, Orgeron's first team meeting. He ripped off his shirt and challenged everybody to a fight. Did that really happen?
Yeah. But like I said, you know, to me, I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't floored by it or nothing like that. It's like, man, if that's what you want to do, then that's what we got to do. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
that's because you came from New Orleans.
Yeah, it's more of like a motivational tactic. You could see that, like, you know, we wasn't really, you know, and that shocked some guys. You know, you got guys that come from very small towns on the team. You got guys that's not used to that type of Southern Louisiana accent, and you know how we can we can lose our cool. You know what I'm saying? Lose our and go crazy. So it's just like, well, they weren't used to that, and so it seems kind of odd. Or if you reading a book, it seems kind of weird. But to me, it was just, you know, a part of what it took to get and motivate players. If that's what he had to do, is take his shirt off and challenge guys to a fight. If you had to go fight a tiger or a bear or a lion, you know, whatever it took to get guys motivated and win. And the same way he does now with recruiting, you know, whatever it takes within the rules, you know, we're gonna try to do it.
So listen, Benny, you at Ole Miss, and y'all, you know, the mascot is the Rebels, and there's been a lot of talk with the Black Lives Matter movement. You know, they changed it a while back with the Rebels in terms of the mascot. But a guy from Mississippi State, Colin Hill, spoke out on the Confederate emblem on the state flag. And then Lane Kiffin of Ole Miss, Mike Leach at Mississippi State, all band together, and they got the emblem removed. What's your thoughts on players not just in Mississippi, but in general, it seems like a lot of college players are starting to understand their power and influence at a university and within a state now, because of their popularity, their influence, social media. What's your thoughts on players kind of using their platform now to speak out in college? And you know, do you like the change? Because when you played, you know, a lot of it was just like shut up and play, and now it just seems like players are you know, more comfortable kind of speaking out and going, taking a stance on issues.
I think that, you know, with all the things we have going on in this country, you know, the George Floyd murders, all these different things that we have going on with all people being police killings, and you know, it's bringing a lot of light to, you know, police brutality against African Americans, minorities, and things like that. So now, if they had any type of issue, would be the perfect time. You know, before, you know, you really couldn't say nothing. Like, you know, if you
Right.
say something, you might not play no more, or they
Mm-hmm.
gonna probably revoke your scholarship or something like that. So, you know, I'm all for it. Like, you know, whatever you can get, if you wanted some type of change now, you know, now is the time, you know, because now is the time where they're listening to you. You know, they weren't listening to you before, and now they almost have to listen to you, because, you know, nobody wants to be that guy. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
That, oh, we not taking the players seriously. Like, you know, the
Right.
situation that happened in Oklahoma State. You know, like, you know,
Right.
that was, you know, those guys felt that way. You know, and then you have, but I never heard them come out and say, for the NCAA was concerned, or if you feel like your school or Iowa, for that standpoint, they fired the strength and conditioning coach who they had been having for 20 some years or something like that. And you know, the NCAA never came out not one time and said, well, guys, if you felt like, you know, you were being, you know, racially profiled, or, you know, you were being mistreated, you can transfer, and, you know, you don't got to sit out. They never said that.
Right.
Mhm.
And they're not going to say that, because
Right.
college football is a business, and they want
Right.
to keep those guys under contract, like a scholarship, they say, but
Mhm.
it's a contract because he's signing on
Mm-hmm.
the dotted line. And they won't keep them quiet. So
Right.
you got people that really can't speak up of what they want to really do and what they want to really say. Now, for me, on the other hand, when I went to Ole Miss, I never really paid attention to, you know, any of that was going on. I knew things was happening, but like you said, I had been, you know, I had more racial stuff happen to me at
Right.
Indiana than I had at Ole Miss. I had more things happen to me in New Orleans than I
Mm-hmm.
could ever think about any one of the colleges that I went to. So it was just like, you know, black cops, white cops, it didn't really matter. You know, and
Mm-hmm.
I had never really seen a white cop. You know, it was like, for me, I had a culture shock when I went to Indiana, because I didn't go to school with white people. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Or
Mhm.
so it was like, for me, the whole thing was a
Right.
culture shock. You know, so
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in New Orleans East. You know, I never had a white classmate until I went to Indiana University. I had two white teachers my entire life.
Mhm.
So you talking about a kid and what, from 1985 to 2003, and we're not interacting. So
Then,
Right.
when I
then
go
you
to
then it was nothing
Indiana,
but white folks
exactly. So when I
and
go to
snow.
Indiana, we got 42,000 students, less than 1% black.
Ooh,
So it's
wow.
like,
Damn.
you know, to me,
All white everything.
exactly. So it's like, well, I'm getting with the program, you know, and like I never
Mm-hmm.
really experienced, you know, some of that stuff that, you know, everything else. So like I know I've been dealt with cops that's, you know, took advantage of me, whether they were black. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? I never really had a bad experience with a white cop. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have a white cop because I was in New Orleans. I didn't really see too many white cops. Most of the
Right.
cops that I dealt with were black. And I felt
Mhm.
like, you know, police in general, they just had a bad name, you know, and they just, I don't know what the deal was with them. You know, they just did whatever they did. And I felt that that was normal, you know,
Right.
so I just mind my business and do the best I can to yes, sir, and no, sir, and just try to make it out of the situation. You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
it's just one of those things, man. It's like, you know, people go through different things and different experiences. So you can never speak for nobody else. But from my own experience, you know, I've experienced all type of stuff, you know. And like as far as the Confederate flag, you know, hey, that's the flag they want to fly. To me, you know, it brings up a lot of bad memories for obviously for our ancestors. But for me, I wasn't really looking at it. I was just going out there playing ball for myself. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
that was me being at that point, being a young man and not really being knowledgeable and saying, okay, you need to take that down. Because
Right.
I wasn't thinking about it at that point. I was just going out there playing ball. You know, I didn't
Mhm.
think about, okay, they flying a Confederate flag and This is what that means. I knew what it meant. People ask me about it all the time, and I said, man, listen, I never experienced some of this stuff, even if it had racism. Even if they had the Confederate flag, if they weren't acting racist towards me, maybe because I was doing something for them that they like. I don't
Right.
know. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I only could tell a person about my personal experience. So
Right.
if they ask me that, that's how it went for me.
Right.
But at the same point in time, like I tell you, I was doing something too. You know what I'm saying? That it wasn't just like a regular black kid walking around. So
Right. You were putting up numbers, right? So oh
yeah,
06, oh,
exactly. So you got to take all
let's
that
not
into
be modest here.
consideration.
You two 1,000-yard seasons, right? Back to back
Yeah,
1,000-yard seasons.
second in the history of the program.
Right.
Right.
Right. And so you have those 2 great years after sitting out the 1 year, and now it's time to go to the league. Talk to us a little bit about the process, the combine, combine preparation, draft, all that, picking an agent, all that type of stuff.
Man, that situation was kind of, all the way screwed up because once again, my coach Ogeron got fired. You know what I'm saying? So now instead of having a coach and coaches to talk to about the whole situation, we kind of like on my own from the whole thing. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
So it's like I went through the whole draft process and everything. With Coach O being fired and whole staff being gone, and NFL coaches got to come in and talk to coaches that weren't at my school when I was at that school. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like it was total chaos to say the least. But other than that, man, going the year before and supposed to be getting drafted, and I decided to come back to school. It wouldn't have been 2,000-yard season. It would have been just one. But my mom wanted me to graduate, so I come back to school and go through the whole school thing and graduate in December because I knew I wasn't coming back at that point. I graduated in December after my senior season playing football and, kind of started training for the combine and, working on those type of things. I get the flu, which I never get sick. I get the flu right before, a day or two, maybe like a week before the combine. I'm scheduled to report to the combine. I lost 7 pounds. It was just everything that could possibly happen,
Right.
did. So it was, that situation was kind of weird. It took me a while mentally to kind of like get over all of these things. And like, man, I can't believe all this is happening. But I grew to believe that I'm a big believer in God, so I everything happened for a reason, and I ended up in New England.
So you went undrafted. So what's that process like? A lot of people say, yeah, instead of getting drafted in like the 6th or 7th round, they prefer to go undrafted because they get to pick a team. Were you in a situation where you had a couple of teams courting you and you chose to go to New England? And if so, what pushed you to choose New England?
Man, yeah, that kind of got crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because like at that point in time, I think I had like the highest signing bonus for a person that wasn't drafted, at the time or whatever. Coming out, you know what I'm saying? Because it was like I was I'm like, man, all these teams won't call me. Like they got my phone number. You know what I'm saying? So it just didn't call me when it counted, when I thought it counted. So
Right.
but like I said, it's the Lord always working in your favor and you don't know it. So, I was able to, pick the team I wanted to go to, and I wound up choosing the New England Patriots. I didn't know where it was, but looking at their roster and everything, I wound up going there. I was like, well, I think this would be a good fit. They had Lawrence Maroney, they had Kevin Falk, they had Sammy Morris at the time. So it was like, okay, Kevin was 32. Sammy was same thing. They were like both 32, and then Lawrence, we had played together. Well, not played together, but we came out the same year. He was at Minnesota, and I was at Indiana. We were both Big Ten freshman running backs.
Okay.
And so I like we were the same age and everything. So like, okay, cool. We'll see. We go up there, and I knew once we played football, that the rest is history. So like, I knew once we got there, I felt, I didn't know anything.
Right.
So when I chose to go to New England, also studying that Belichick had a history of, putting guys on the field if you could perform. So that all of those things played a major part in it, and I think like all of those things shaped a major part of my life and like made me. And when I say the Lord has blessings for you in disguise, it made me realize and how to turn my ear to what's going on and how to move. You know what I mean? Because it's
Right.
like, well, you're making decisions now that you are your own business, so you got to make decisions based off, okay, who's gonna put you in a position to maybe get out there and show what you can do. So at that point, I felt like Belichick was the best person for that. We have all these other teams, but football is a very political business. If you
Right.
draft a guy in the second, third round, he gonna play no matter what because you're paying him too much money. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So, you didn't want to get it in one of those situations. And we didn't
Right.
have any of those situations because they didn't draft nobody and running back. Or they hadn't drafted anybody besides Lawrence in the last couple of years. So like,
Mhm.
well, he gonna play. That's not a problem. But he also, they also gonna play some other people. So it's just like, well, you're learning how to make those decisions and you're making them right now because we don't got a lot of time. We need to sign and get gone. So
Gotcha.
all those things help shape, who I became, you know what I'm saying? And I think it went past just whenever you playing football, it went into the rest of my life.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
So like I'm big on, you know, having confidence and having like the mental fortitude to work through things. And sometimes I even struggle with that. So my question to you is, how is a guy who was all Big Ten freshman, all SEC first team, go into a situation where you're not drafted, and then you go to the world champions, a team that's won multiple times, has possibly or three-time champion at that time, has the best quarterback in a game, most people say the best quarterback of all time, and the best coach of all time in NFL history. How do you go into that environment and maintain confidence, thrive, and find your path to get meaningful snaps and start at some point in your career in New England?
Well, to put it into perspective, they were coming off the 17-0 season, so it was really crazy around there. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Mahomes
Man,
had
wow.
broke all them touchdowns,
Right.
and they was scoring 50 points. It was pandemonium. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
like you come around there, I mean, it was nothing like you never seen before. You go to practice, we got 35, 40,000 people at training camp practice. It was live, but at the same point in time, that didn't bother me because I had been playing at Ohio State. We played at
Mhm.
Michigan. I done played everywhere you could almost possibly play.
Right.
When you
SEC and
talk
Big
about the
Ten, that's
biggest,
all the biggest. Yeah.
Right.
yeah, like it don't get. I done played Penn State.
110,000 seat stadiums.
Exactly. I done played in the big house. We had 111. I played at Ohio State with 105. I done played in LSU, Auburn, Alabama, Penn State. You name it. I've been there. So that wasn't really nothing to me. Actually, it was kind of a step down when we went to the NFL because
Right.
now we
Mhm.
talking about 65,000 fans,
Right.
and
Right.
we 35, 40,000 people away from what we used to.
Right.
So
Right.
it's not as loud.
Right.
So, but when I got there, I mean, it was just football. At that point, like none of that stuff really mattered. Like I never got caught up in um the glitz and glamour and the media. The media, make you think this and make you think that. But
Mhm.
I don't read articles and I don't really get into the whole media thing. So when it came time to say Hut, I know everybody had deal with me like I had to deal with them. So
Right.
the that eye in the sky don't lie, man. When they say Hut, and the ball is shift, everybody got to do their job. You know what I'm saying? So
Gotcha.
I never tripping on that.
Gotcha. So you
I
playing with?
never lost no confidence
Oh,
in anything.
okay. That's what's up, man. That's So you playing with Brady and Belichick? Did you have any mentors on the team, and if so, who were they? And then also, what was it like playing with the Brady and Belichick? Were they helpful? Were they like what was the culture like? Was it a different feel from where you played at in Indiana and in Ole Miss, where you didn't have a lot of success in the win loss column to this championship level expectation at New England?
Yep, I think that was that was a key thing too. I would think everything happened for me to go there and to be able to learn, like what I'm saying, to be able to learn how football. Up to that point in my life, man, I never really knew how important the quarterback was. I always thought the running back was the most important position. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
when I got, like I told you, I didn't know about the 1,000 yards, none of that type of
Hmm.
stuff. So I get here and I realize what a quarterback does, and he make checks and all this stuff. I already knew that, so I figured everybody on the field knew that. I didn't know that everybody don't know what the quarterback knows, and
Right.
everybody don't know what to do and what the line should do and what everybody on the field should do. To me, if you sit in a meeting and we talk about everything, it's impossible not to know because you're hearing it. But I guess that's not the reality of the situation. Some people look at things and they only learn what they need to learn, and they're not focused on everybody else. But it's like we're in these meetings for hours every day. So to me, you should know what everybody do because we talk about everybody right there in front of you. You know what I'm saying? So you can't close your ears.
Right.
So like that was my whole thing. I was like, man, it's crazy. But anyway, that's not the way it really go. People only listen to what they need to listen to, and that's it.
Gotcha.
So I got there, and and Brady was Brady, and he ain't never stopped being Brady, and Belichick is always demanding. So it was it was a good experience, and I got a chance to learn a lot about how football goes, how to set things up, different critical situations. And Coach Donaldo was a key component in that as well because, he would have these things, 5 key points. You know what I'm saying? And if you can win 3 of them, which would be like a turnover battle, critical situation, special teams, no turnovers, things like that. Whoever won the turnover battle, all of those things led to, wins. And if we could get 3 of those 5, you probably had a good chance to win the game. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
it kind of started when I got to college. You know what I'm saying? Just looking at things from a analytics perspective. So, and I kind of when I got to New England, it was just more of, knowing what you need to do, knowing your pass protection, knowing everything that needs to go on a particular play, and you know everything else is history. But like demanding that excellence and going out and practicing that hard, that wasn't nothing new for me because that's all I knew how to do anyway.
And so Lawrence Maroney ultimately gets hurt, right? And then you take over that year and end up having what, like a thousand, or after maybe it was a year 2 or 3, you end up having
Actually,
1,000-yard season.
my rookie year, what happened my rookie year? In my rookie year, I think I had like 7 touchdowns. Like I wound up playing like 3, 4, 5, 3, 4 or 5 games straight where I had to like 3, 4 games where I had to start. For something
Mm-hmm.
happened. Lawrence got hurt. He messed up his shoulder. Sammy got hurt. Something happened to Sammy. Shit. Kevin got hurt. Something happened to Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
No, Kevin didn't get hurt my rookie year. But everybody else that played running back got hurt. We had another guy named Lamont Jordan. He got hurt. So all 3 of these guys got hurt, and I had to step in and play. And I think like the first game I put up like 105 or something like that, and the next 105 and a touchdown or 2 in the next game it was the same thing, So it was just like then I set some type of rookie record up there, and then I guess I became like a fan favorite. You know what I'm saying? And the rest is history. You get the name, law firm, and all of that
That
stuff
you
that
got
go
the
with it.
nickname that year.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And then
So
you guys 2 years later you played in the Super Bowl, right? Or was that 2011 season y'all
3
played the
years
Super Bowl?
later,
Three
this was
years later.
2008 was my rookie season.
Mm-hmm.
3 years later, we played in the Super Bowl 2011. I think Super Bowl was 11 or 12, one of them. I can't remember. Something like that though.
What's that
Yeah,
like? Just
9, 10. Yeah, it was 11.
I mean, as a kid, that's the type of thing that you dream about doing. So what was it like with the atmosphere? Was it just another game for you, or was it one
Right.
of those situations where you walk out and you get goosebumps?
I never dreamed about playing no Super Bowl, but you know, I'm being honest with you, man. I never thought about no Super Bowl. Like even when I
Mm-hmm.
never watched sports growing up. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I just knew that, like I told you, 8 o'clock hit, I washed my face and brushed my teeth. Boom, I'm going outside.
Right.
I'm going to do all that stuff myself. I didn't feel like, I never felt like, watching somebody on TV was going to do nothing for me because I felt
Right.
like I could do it myself. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Right.
we get up, we go outside, we play football, we play basketball, we play play hide and go seek on bikes, whatever you
Right.
want to call it. So, I ain't really have time. The only time I would maybe see a football game is if Monday night came on. And, I knew about Barry Sanders because one of my friends from around the corner, he had all these cards. I had another guy on the corner, he had collectible cards. I never collected cards, none of that. I like, man, what you got all those cards in this binder for? So it was just like, to me, it was just like, man, I can, I can go out there and do this too. And that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of how I always approach things. Like I never looked at, the NFL in my mind. It never was a thing that was like it wasn't gonna happen. I just needed to know the steps. So that's when I told you I went to Notre Dame. With my mom, it was just like, oh, you gotta go to the thing called college. You gotta go to, I'm young at this point, so it's like, okay, all right, what you gotta do? So you gotta go to high school, you gotta go to college, and then from college you go to the NFL. So I thought it was like a 1, 2, 3 process, like going from the fourth grade to the fifth grade, or sixth grade to the seventh grade. I never thought of it as like a selection thing. And
Gotcha.
I was like a very like a pure kid, man. I never kind of got into all of this other stuff that people have that get into and kind of derail them.
And sometimes I think that's more of a benefit, right? Because like you
Right.
said, you didn't even think about it. It was just like you just got to go through these things. Where now I think it's kids are so focused at such an early age on, I got to run this 40 time, or I got to know how to, do this. I got to go to
Oh,
all these specialty camps.
and I definitely had I know like but it's upsides and downsides to that as well because I didn't really know kind of like the lay of the land for us like
Mm-hmm.
okay when once this guy told me about this 1,000 yards in my mind that's what you need to do. You know what I'm
Gotcha.
saying? When coach tell you, oh, we average 4 yards, we need to average 4 yards a carry. In my mind, that's what we need to do. So,
Mm-hmm.
I started computing things in my head to make sure we doing this. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
But not knowing that okay, we need to do this, we need to have this, we need to have that.
Right.
Being knowledgeable on everything is always the best way to go. That's just the way. It wasn't that way for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
learn about any of all of this stuff until later on. You know what I'm saying? So I think had I had known like these kids know now, I probably would have approached it the same way. Like the guy Stanford Rhett on
Yeah.
ESPN. His parents live next door to me, and they would
Okay.
still get they went to St. Aug too, and his parents lived. They used to live next door to my grandmother, and they were still getting the Sports Illustrators and stuff. Obviously he's older than me, so they were still getting them to their house. They would just give them to me,
Mm-hmm.
in bulk, like every month. They would
Right.
just give them to me. I would just flip through the pages and read. You know what I'm saying? I was a big reader, and I still am. So I would just read through all these things and had the guy, Michael Vick was in college at the time. I didn't know what it was, but I knew it like, man, 40 inches, 4'3". What is this, all this stuff they
Right.
talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, but I knew because I was reading the magazine, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't know
Right.
exactly that, okay, this is what you need to do for, combine and things like that. I just knew because I was just reading these books, that they were giving me from next door. So it's a gift and a curse when it comes to that because, like, yeah, it allows you to have a clear head, but at the same
Mm-hmm.
point in time, you're not able to put everything together. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
That
I
makes
got
sense to you.
you. Yeah, no, definitely. So you leave New England after 4 seasons and you go to Cincinnati. And although Cincinnati, I think, gets a bad rap under uh,
Marvin Lewis.
Marvin Lewis, for not being a winning organization, the 2 years you started there, y'all went to the playoffs both years. But talk to us a little bit about, at that point, you're the veteran. You're not the young guy. Now you coming in, you the vet. They draft Giovanni Bernard. What is that like going into an organization and they bringing you in to bring a championship caliber mentality, and you lead them to the playoffs in both years?
I think like at that point, like Cincinnati was a young team. We were all young, so it was like, I was in my fourth year, but with me coming from New England, they're looking at it as a point where you can offer some leadership from
Mm-hmm.
what you've learned from Belichick and Brady, and obviously there's a lot to go on there, but New England fit my personality. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Because I'm like a no nonsense type of person. I don't really have a lot of jokes and things like that. So it's like that fit my personality being there. Like, you know what I'm saying? So when most people don't relate or they think it's harsh because that's not the type of people they are. But for me, that's what I like to do. I like to go to work and I like to go home and I like to come back to work the next day. I like to go to work, I like to go home, I like to come back the next day. I could do that every day,
Right.
and I don't have no problem with it whatsoever. Some people think they need to have other things to do. I'm not really concerned about other things to do. As long as I'm playing football, this is what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So nothing else really mattered to me. So that's the type of person I was already. So they fit my personality. So when I went to Cincinnati, obviously you have to adapt to things being different, So,
Mm-hmm.
you got to, work my way through that. I felt like Coach Lewis did a good job of, preparing the guys. It was just a total different way of handling things. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously that team or most teams take on the personality of their head coach. So how they go about business is what their coach is kind of dictating. So it wasn't that it was Coach Lewis was bad or anything. It was just different. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like if I talk to you two guys, I come to your house, you're gonna do things one way. I go to his house, you're gonna do things another way. So it's
Right.
just the ability to kind of find that medium ground there. So it
Gotcha.
was good, and Giovanni came in my second year. There, the first year we had it was Bernard Scott and who else did we have? Man, Chris Presley was a fullback. He tore his quad. It was a lot of things that happened there, and it took us a little while to get the ball rolling. I think we started 3-0, and then we lost the next three, so we was 3-3 or something like that. I don't think I talked to nobody for 2 weeks. So yeah, I'm serious. And it was like, man, they was trying to get me checked out, and what was going on. I just wasn't used to that no
Right.
more. So it was just like, man, I don't understand how we could come around here and talk to one another when we not winning. When we not putting together things the way it's supposed to be done. And like I told you, like I'm a workaholic, so when things don't kind of line up the way I see them in my head, I'm not a very pleasant person to be around. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I don't understand this until we get it all the way together. And the guys at Cincinnati were all great. I love those guys, and we worked hard. It was probably one of the most talented teams I've been on. Hands down. I think Cincinnati get a bad rep for the wrong reason. They
Mm-hmm.
had some of them. I mean, just talent was all over the board. I mean, me, AJ, Andy Dalton, Andrew Whitworth,
Marvin
who else?
Jones was on that squad.
Marvin Jones,
Mm-hmm.
Muhammad Sanu. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
Vontez Burfict was on the defense. Huh?
Andrew Hawkins,
Right.
Vontez Burfict, Pac-Man Jones, Reggie
Mhm.
Nelson, Carlos Dunlap, Geno Atkins, you know what I'm saying?
Right. That's a
Ray
talent.
Malaluga,
Yeah.
Right.
Leon Hall. Like I could sit here
It's a
and you
lot of
go
first
through all of
rounders.
these guys.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Right.
saying. So it's like talent was not a problem, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was just like how we handled certain situations and what we did, and we all made mistakes because we were all around the same age, you know what I'm saying? We were all right in there the same age, 25, 26, 23, 24, all us the same age, you know what I'm saying? So it was like we were all just young, and we had some veterans, Whitworth and things like that, but you know, I had been in the game. It's my fourth year now, or going into my fifth year at that point. So it was just different. We we,
Right.
we 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 made mistakes together. We learned a lot, and that's what the NFL is. You got guys like Brady, that make you pay for those type of things. Or we had Phillip Rivers that I think that first year in the playoffs, and the next year I forgot who we had. So those veteran guys kind of made us pay for those. And those games I honestly should have won. You know, but it was cool, man. It was good. It was a different role because now you're in a leadership role and you kind of got to lead by example. And there are different things where you have to speak up and step on toes, so to speak, and people not like you for a little while. And all
Right.
all of those things were learning experiences. And I think that we all respected one another at the end of the day, no matter what happened, and we enjoyed playing with and for one another.
Cool.
So let's just move into I guess this coming season. What are your thoughts like on this upcoming season? Do you think it's going to happen or not with the COVID thing? And then also, what do you think about Tom Brady and Tampa Bay this year?
I think the upcoming season gonna happen. I think they're gonna experiment and see how it's gonna happen. And
Mhm.
if it crash, it crashes. You know what I'm saying? But I
Right.
think I think they're gonna have it no matter what, just to see what they can do. And there's a lot of money on the line. There's a lot of TV contracts, there's a lot of
Mhm.
player contracts. I think if they were playing for free, nobody would want to play. That's
Right.
just the God
Right.
honest truth. But by them making millions of dollars of playing, everybody want to see how they gonna get it done. Because
Mm-hmm.
nobody could tell you, okay, well, I don't know if you're gonna be protected going to this store or not. You should still go. Nobody not going. But if they
Right.
paying you to go, you think about it twice. And that's
Mm-hmm.
the same thing we talk about with the economy. If you say, well, it's not safe to go outside. People catching COVID-19 and they passing out and they dying and they can't smell and they can't taste and nothing like that. Nobody going outside. But because people have bills, they gotta go do what they gotta go do. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So
True.
I
Right.
think that's, and the people have families, so it's like you kind of put in a bind, like, you know. So I know for a fact they're gonna try to play. You know, they're gonna try to do the best they can, and I think the NFL, the NFLPA, gonna try to make that happen.
Now with Brady, I mean, you saw him in all his greatness when you played with him at 42 with this roster with the Buccaneers. You think he still got something left in him? You think he got something for the Saints this season?
Definitely, man. I mean, Brady can still play. You know, he ain't forgot how to play football.
Right.
Now, if you asking me if his arm strength is the same and all that type of stuff,
And the offensive line issues, and then Tampa secondary is a little suspect.
yeah, all of those things come back down to, you know, now they expecting Brady to outthink the other our opponent, and you know, expecting his line to pick up the slack because they know who they blocking for now. I
Right.
don't think that he's not gonna not be Brady. You know, he gonna sit there, he gonna deliver the ball. I mean, you gotta think about it now. He's not going to a team that don't have talent. I mean,
Right.
what, Mike Evans, Goodwin, you got OJ Howard, now you got Gronk came out of retirement.
Right.
They not short on talent either. And last year, James and Winston threw what, 30, 40 interceptions. He almost threw 50 interceptions or something like that. And they still was, close. So, you just think about if Tampa Bay erased just half of Jameson Winston's interceptions and just half of some of the mistakes that they made on defense because they were so young, and the defense was still great. So I don't think you're looking at a team that's, thinking that they're not going to be able to compete. They competed the whole time. It just like I said, the ball sometimes don't go your way. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's how I think Tampa Bay was. Now, can Brady get them over the hump? That's what everybody's waiting to see. The NFC South is going to be interesting. You got Brady, you have Matt Ryan, you have Drew Brees, Teddy Bridgewater. So it's
Yep.
going to be interesting. I mean, not a
Right.
dull week. We got 8 games.
Right. And I think like the level of expectation goes up. And like you said, it's sometimes about that one or two plays make the difference. And I think when you got a guy like Brady, the offensive line, they know they got to be better, and they want to be better for him.
You definitely, I guarantee you, they know they got to be better.
Mhm.
And if not, he gonna make them know they got to be
Right,
better.
right. And so just along those lines, going back to New England with Belichick. Now he doesn't have Brady for the first time in 20 years, and he's bringing in Cam Newton. Like, what's your thoughts on? Do you think Belichick has the ability to adapt offense? Because it's a lot of talk of who's the most responsible for the success in New England, Belichick or Brady? And I think both of them had a lot to do with it. But what's your expectations for New England with Cam Newton?
Man, I feel like, well, this is not gonna be the first time, and I think what that was this. I think it was my rookie year.
I about to say you might have been there.
Yeah, 2008. Brady tears ACL again in the beginning of the season, and Matt Castle come in, and then the next year Matt Castle signed for like $65 million, $56 million, and we won. Matter of fact, we won. We was 12-4.
Yeah.
So I think Belichick could probably win with anybody. Not saying anybody,
Right.
but definitely a Cam Newton type of caliber player. It's not and they gonna adjust the offense. They've adjusted the offense to what the guy named Jacoby Brissett. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Brissett. They adjusted the offense to him when he
Jimmy
was
Garoppolo.
Yep.
yeah, they adjusted to Jimmy Garoppolo. They adjusted to Tim Tebow, or Josh McDaniels adjusted to Tim Tebow
Right.
when he was in Denver. They went to the playoffs. So adjusting is what the Patriots do. Every week, week in, week out, they adjust. They adjust on the sideline. They adjust in game. So whatever it takes to win, that's what they're going to do. If they have to adjust 1 million times, then they're going to adjust 1 million times, and they're going to also have another one just in case something else happens. So
Right.
1 million at one time, whatever it takes, they're going to be in the position to do it. And I can guarantee you, is they're not going to be not prepared. They're going to be ready for whatever is thrown And at a time like this, when everybody haven't had spring ball to catch up, and you haven't had none of that to catch up to what he had, you in trouble.
Right.
That don't bode well. Saying okay, young teams where they're not practicing together all the time. New England defense was stocked last year, and I don't think they're gonna be any worse.
Right.
So you taking guys away, and you adding a guy like Cam Newton. I keep seeing Cam Newton every day posting some type of redeem video or something like that. So it's like, you don't want a guy. If you ever seen Cam Newton in person, like, man, this guy could be a defense end. No joke.
Yeah.
He bigger than Von Miller by far.
I saw the video of him working out with Mohamed Sanu, and Mohamed Sanu, I think, is
He big dude.
like 6'2", over 200 pounds, and he
like
made Mohamed
215.
Sanu. Yeah, he made Mohamed Sanu look like he was about 5'10", about 5.
The first time I met Cam Newton, I was like, man cannot be a quarterback. 6'5", 250 pounds, lean athlete. He not skinny by far. His legs he got legs like Saquon Barkley, arm like Brady. Like, oh man, this is a problem. This is exactly what I said. And that's exactly what he was. He was a problem. He's a problem in the league. He's been banged up. People have, everybody been bashing him. They knew it. You can see his shoulder was messed up. He shouldn't have even been out there. But hey, he was. So It's just like they always say, whatever you put on tape, no matter if you heard or not, that's what you put out there. So,
so look, you're a former running back, and me and Rob been having this debate, last football season. In your opinion, your expert opinion, who do you think is the best running back in the game right now?
Man, they all offer so many different things, man. I'll give you, for instance, like you got Christian McCaffrey, you got Saquon Barkley, you have Todd Gurley, you have Ezekiel Elliott. I mean,
Alvin Kamara down in New Orleans.
Dalvin Cook.
Alvin Kamara don't really run the ball like them. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
He a great running back, but he don't run the ball like them. They all catch the ball like him, and then he don't run the ball like them. And that may be because of the team that he's on. But I only can tell you, like I just told you about Cam Newton, what he put out there on the film.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He not running like them.
Right.
These guys getting 200 plus carries, and they catching the ball like Christian McCaffrey, 1,000. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's unheard of unless you talk about Marshall Faulk. And to put somebody in the category with Marshall Faulk in this day and age at running back, it just seems crazy. And Saquon Barkley, what he does out of the backfield with the ball is amazing. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a human highlight reel, it's a human joystick. And Ezekiel Elliott, the same thing. Like, people can say whatever they want to say, but he's very calm, he's patient, he's productive. They're highly productive. And I don't think, leading the league in rushing and doing everything he does, he running through you, he running over you, he hopping over you, he dancing, he in Salvation Army, he all over the place. So when you talk about those guys, I mean, I like Gurley. Before last year, obviously they said his knees or whatever the case may have been. I don't know what the deal was, but I like him as a running back. I like what he brings to the table. So all of these guys are guys that fit the bill, and you pick one for your offense, and I don't think you can go wrong.
Right.
Definitely.
I like the guys. What is the boy name? I can't think of his name right now. It'll come to me.
And what city?
I can't think. It's gonna come to me because, like, I know it's not Dalvin Cook, but it's somebody who I like, and I always say we don't talk about him enough. And right now, I feel that we even go back to Le'Veon Bell. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like
he had the one down year. Right.
Yeah, he was in New York last year. Everybody knew what the deal was, but Le'Veon Bell, he not second to nobody when he right.
Right.
So it's just like, you put them on a team, you put guys in situations, and they just can't succeed.
So if you building your team, which dude you take? I'm putting you on the spot.
If I'm building my team out, well, first off, I'll be building my team from the inside out. So I'll be going to get my linemen and stuff first. And then, once I figure out what type of lineman I have, and then I had to pick one, you know, because I'll take any one of them. I'll put the name in the barrel and just pick one. Now, if you asking me about my third down running back, I'm going Alvin Kamara first, no matter what. You know what I'm saying? That's bar none. You know, because he can't be checked. I mean, he don't seem to have like what you say, Saquon Barkley third, fourth gear, or Ty Gurley fourth gear where he running and you just know this is over. You know what I'm saying? But that don't matter because he's so smooth, man. It's just like he gliding on water.
Yeah, really, that's exactly how he looks when he's running.
Yeah, so it's just like it don't matter what goes on. He's never too high, never too low. He's always moving around, and he's very shifty. And you know, like I said, out of the backfield, you know, I don't think too many linebackers can check him now. Now they have a lot of, you know, they going to these fast linebackers nowadays, and it's changing, you know. So I like Kamara though.
That's what's up. Post-retirement, you know, what you been up to these last couple of years? What you doing now?
Man, I keep myself busy, you know. Stay doing something, you know. I'm always into something, man. I just try to keep myself busy and try not to, you know, get bored. You know, that's my main thing with retirement, man. Just keeping myself busy and, you know, staying out of the way of foolishness.
I hear you.
So one more question. Who ultimately gave you the nickname the Law Firm?
I honestly think that, you know, between they say, you know, between the fans in New England, Chris Berman, and, you know, John Madden, somebody, you know, I don't really know whoever was gonna take credit for it, but you know, those are the three things that come to mount. You know what I'm saying? Because like
Wikipedia is giving credit to John Madden and Al Michaels right now.
I mean, I couldn't tell you. You know, whoever it was, you know, we just rolled with it. You know,
right.
I'll tell you this.
How I felt about it. You know, like, man, it don't matter to me. You know,
I'll tell you this. My wife is a big family. What is it? A Family Guy, and you've been featured on that. They mentioned your name on there, so you know the name that got around for sure.
Family Guy. The Cleveland, whatever that show.
The Cleveland show.
Yeah, like, man, hold on, man. Nobody ain't paid for nothing. You know what I'm saying? So that was something, but I let it go, man. But yeah, I heard that one before too. They had a cartoon. There a lot of different stuff go with that, man. You know, my daughter, she gets into more of that nowadays. But you know, like I always try to tell her, you know, baby, I don't live in the past, you know, because God put eyes in the front of my head and not the back. You know, I really, you know, that's kind of what I tell her. But, you know, it's kind of some of those things that, she got a phone and a computer. So she YouTubing and this and that.
Right.
You know, these kids nowadays, they tell you more about yourself. How you know that? You know?
Right.
So I got another one for you. Hardest hidden defensive player, hidden player you ever went against.
You know, we really don't really get hit that hard. If you're talking about just in football, period. As running back, man, we really don't take a lot of hard hits. It's just a lot of accumulation of them. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we getting hit all the time, but it's very seldom you really see. I mean, think about it. It's not too many times you seen Reggie Bush get jacked up like he did against Philly that year.
Right.
Where he almost lost his life. You know what I'm saying?
He did, bro. We was at that game.
Yeah. It's only one of those that you could really kind of think of, you know what I'm saying? So, like, all the other carries that Reggie had and all the other years he played, you really can't remember him getting smashed like that. You see what I'm saying? So it's like it's not those many of those hits like that. And that's kind of why I didn't play receiver, because, like, I'm like, man, if I play running back, I could see everybody coming and I could brace, I could move, I could shift. You know what I'm saying? I could put myself in position to where I'm not receiving a direct blow. But, like, just blindly running a route and then boom, you know, obviously they got rid of that. But when I was growing up, man, you could kill receivers, you know what I'm saying, coming across the middle. That wasn't what I was signing up for, like, to go across and not see somebody hit me.
Right.
I could everything I could see coming, all 11 people that's trying to tackle me, I could see them and I could feel them, you know what I'm saying? But at receiver, you can't see people when you're looking back at the quarterback, and that wasn't nice for me, you know. So obviously they changed those rules, but back then I couldn't do it.
I'll ask to you like this: you played with Patrick Willis. You played with Vontez Perfect. You played against Ray Lewis and Ed Reed. Who is probably the best defender in your mind that you faced in your career or played with?
Best defender. Like, it was different, man, because, me and Patrick, we spent a lot of time together. You know what I'm saying? I probably had more time with him than anybody because,
Okay.
I was with him together for 3 years, and we was at Ole Miss together for 3 years. I done seen him play with torn PCL, a broken hand, meniscus torn, and
Damn.
still have 22 tackles. So I done seen him run down Darren McFadden, sideline to sideline. So it's a lot that goes into that. All the people that was with me at Ole Miss, it's kind of different because, like you said, you coming up through the fire together. You know what I mean? That's a different type of bond than just saying, And even with Vontez, the same thing. Me and Vontez was very cool as well. Taz get a bad rep, but he's so passionate, man. It's just, sometimes it just ball over. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And what he don't think is going too far, but the way the league is now,
can't do it anymore.
That's how you can't do that, man. Yeah,
right.
Point blank. But so it's just like, man, you gotta look at another one, Brandon Spikes. I played with Spikes.
That's right.
He's a beast at
so
Florida.
You gotta add Spikes to the category. So like we talking about some hard hitters. You're looking at Vontez, looking at Spikes. Spikes for sure was a linebacker at 260, 270. So he was bringing pain. Taz, Ray. You got a lot of guys out there who bringing their past. You know what I mean? So it's just a lot. It's just how you looked at it, man. It's just how you approach things. Like Bob Sanders, tear your shins up. As a running back, you really don't want nobody around your legs. Like that's more fear. I give you shoulder pads all day. You start playing around my legs and stuff like that. You get very antsy. Slow them down for sure because people run with their legs. These are money makers.
Right.
So what about loudest stadium you ever played in?
Honestly, it got loud in Death Valley and LSU. It got loud in Alabama in overtime. It got loud in Ohio State in what that was 2003 or 2004, 2004. So I mean, it got loud in Penn State. We are Penn State. Between those, I mean, you toss up those people and
Happy Valley.
all of those stadiums are 100,000 seat stadiums. Besides, I think Alabama was like 90-some thousand at the time. But you take all of those stadiums and you can put them right there together. But you're looking at I put one with them and they half the size, and that was Oregon. We played Oregon Ducks one year. And you go to Autzen, I think it's Autzen. And man, it's so loud. They got the ducks quacking. I don't know where those people come from, but 50,000, 60,000 people in Oregon, and you know how it is. It's kind of rainy out there and everything, man. But this was like 2003 or 2004 we played there, and bro, Haloti Nada was on their team. Man, the man blocked 3 kicks the game. We couldn't. We won the game. We had 5 turnovers. That's how we wound up winning the game. Our defense had got 5 picks or something like that. But Haloti Nada, I'd never seen a guy that dominant. He was picking up our linemen and slamming them by himself. 2 of them. And I don't know, man, that man was one of the most dominant college football players I ever played against in my life. We couldn't block him. We couldn't double team him. We couldn't triple team him. We couldn't kick field goals. We couldn't do nothing. Like, not against him. You got to wait till he get tired, go out of the game, try to run away from him, everything. Like, he was just purely dominant.
That's what's up. I'm just glad you said Death Valley first, because Rob is an LSU hate over here. So I'm glad you started off with the best.
I mean, and honestly, LSU was very loud, and I think that year was the year that LSU and Ole Miss had a little thing.
Yeah,
I don't know how big it still is now that Alabama and Nick Saban. Once Nick went over to Alabama, I think that kind of just took the cake for everything rivalry was concerned. It's just none of that other stuff matters. We need to beat Alabama, and that's that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, but LSU was extremely loud that year. It was a night game. Night game on ESPN. It was loud.
That's what's up.
Dun, 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 dun.
That,
That's all you heard. And
that
then the team and the chant session, and then in Penn State is, they got their own thing where one end of the stadium say we, the next thing you say R, and the other side say Penn State. That's all you hear. We are Penn State. Oh God.
Hear it in your
And it's like
dreams.
102,000 people, and they wearing all white saying that. It's
Yep.
like, man, can't hear nothing. Can't hear
Wow.
nothing. Can't see nothing. You can look, if you look up, it's like you kind of blinded by all this white.
Right.
So it was just like in Ohio State, and they probably was the drunkest fans I ever seen. Like, they were the rowdiest. They might have been the rowdiest, like far as like talking to the players and being drunk, and they drunk. I don't know how. It's a college game, but
Beforehand.
it was crazy. But like I'm saying, though, it's one of those places. Now Alabama, it was loud because it was an overtime game. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They definitely didn't want to lose. So
Right.
those places were the loudest places I played. The Swamp was pretty loud too, but nothing like these places at that particular time.
All right. So last question we got for you. You might be one of the best people to answer this because you played in both conferences. But Big Ten or SEC? Who is the best conference?
SEC.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about, Rob. You hear that?
Listen, I'm not.
I give it to the SEC because, and people ask me this question all the time. If you look at all conferences and you look around, what you get is you get skill positions. Everybody doing the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Receivers, running backs, quarterbacks, DB, safeties. You can't say that same thing for looking at where it really count at, and that's in the trenches. You got offensive linemen and defensive linemen running 4.7s, 4.6s, 4.8s, linebackers running 4.3s, 4.4s all day long. So that level of impact, just the physics of it is ridiculous, and that's pain. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
That is pain when you get guys that big, that fast, that strong, and dominating like they do. I don't think you could go and find. I mean, we could find like they almost growing on trees down here.
Mm-hmm.
You getting guys 300-some pounds and they moving. You know what I'm saying? They might not all make it to the league, but collectively out there together on that field, you can't match that. You might get a JJ Watt, and obviously Ohio State dominate, but they got a lot of Florida players. You know what I'm saying? Most of their players come from Florida. Both the Bosa boys, Chase Young came from Pennsylvania somewhere. So it's like none of these guys are really Midwest grown people, so to speak. Now they got the linemen. They come with a good lineman, but that's always been my thing. And I guess because I'm a running back, I'm kind of biased on defensive line and what they can bring to the table. And defensive ends, you get guys. When I was in school, we had Quentin Groves was the guy who kind of like, he was kind of, I guess, before his time, 6'4", 254 pounds. He had him a defensive end, but he really was what they would call like an outside linebacker in today's game. You know what I'm saying? Right. And that's not what Auburn was. But Auburn was a speed defense. Their whole defense was based off speed. They had those 4'4" linebackers, 220 pounds, and things like that. Kind of like what the NFL is today.
Right.
So I think Auburn was just a little bit ahead of their time, man. But that's my take on that conferences. I mean, then you look at the Big Ten outside of Ohio State, and well, I guess you could put Michigan, but outside of Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, and I don't really see nothing else happening. Nothing like that. But I feel like it's a good conference. They have, and let me not say that though, because Michigan State played good football. A lot of teams play good football. I just think that it was different from my perspective and what I see on Sundays. I mean, what I see on Saturdays. I'd much rather watch SEC football than anything else. Pac-12, Big Ten, anybody. I don't care. You can put them together.
Right.
That's just my perspective. That's my take on it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's all we got, man. We appreciate you joining the show, Benny, bro. It's been a
ain't no
pleasure,
problem,
man.
Bro.
Yeah, no, we enjoyed it.
All right, man. Y'all take it easy, bro. Have a good night.
All right, you too, man. Thanks, bro.
One piece of breaking news: the Redskins have announced that they are getting rid of the name. They don't have a new name yet, but for sure, the Redskins is gone.
Gotcha. So they're just gonna be the red and yellows, huh?
Right.
That's all they need for right now.
You're right. Just be colors.
Yes, sir.
Rob, we out of here, man. All right, thanks, Benny.
All right, let's get.